What is forecasting? Forecasting in business is the same as forecasting in weather, wherein business forecasting uses historical data to make a projection of future trends, such as future sales and revenues that are advantageous in the firm's operations. Businesses need forecasting, for it helps you plan for both the short and long-term futures. Also, it can help you decide where to put your money, and lastly, it can help anticipate change in the market. There are two techniques under forecasting, the qualitative and quantitative methods, but let's further discuss particularly the qualitative approach. What is qualitative forecasting method? This method works through judgment and opinion developed by experts in the field who have perceived the function of the business based on objective data from past operations. This method is useful when quantitative means cannot predict the suspected future. For example, the company's data may say sales will grow in the next succeeding year. However, the industry expert sees a loophole wherein a downward of sales may occur because there is a shortage in material at the supplier.
Who uses forecasting as a tool for decision making? First is the marketing manager. They use marketing forecasts to estimate the effectiveness of their campaigns, decide which market to enter and exit, and determine the life cycle of their products. Marketing forecast is important to the marketing management because it analyzes to project future trends, characteristics, and numbers of their target market. Next is the production manager. They use the forecasting methods to predict business outcomes. Through estimations, it can help the manager develop and implement production strategies. This will aid the decision making and planning around possible events. The production forecast estimates the future or demand for companies' goods and services and other factors which are all required to produce goods and services. And also the purchasing manager. They use the demand forecasting to improve supplier relations and purchasing terms. The demand forecasting drives raw materials planning process, which facilitates the purchasing manager to release timely purchase plan to suppliers. The visibility and transparency of raw material demand helps improve supplier relations and empowers purchasing managers to negotiate favorable terms for their companies. And also the human resource management. They use the human resource forecast to assess the short and long-term staffing needs based on projected sales, new product launches, market expansions, and other factors that might affect the labor needs. This is important to the management to estimate the number of employees or types of skills that are needed and available to get the job done. And then the financial manager. They use the financial forecast to have access on cohesive reports, allowing them to establish business goals that are both realistic and feasible. Financial forecast gives management valuable insights into the way the business performed in the past and the way it will compare in the future. This will help them identify future revenue or expenditure trends that may have an immediate or long-term influence in government policies, strategic goals, or community services.
And now let's talk about the qualitative forecasting methods. So one type of it is expert opinion. So what is expert opinion? So expert opinion method, also known as expert consensus method, it is being widely used for demand forecasting. This method utilizes the findings of market research and the opinions of management executives, consultants, and trade association officials, and trade journal editors and sector analysts. When done by an expert, qualitative techniques provide reasonably good forecasts for a short term because of the expert's familiarity with the issue and the problems involved. So the pros of expert opinion is that, as with all forms of forecasting, more data helps produce more informed predictions, especially when the when that data is the informed opinion of an expert. So the cons is experts don't get it right 100% of the time. No prediction is truly accurate, and it can be easily to put too much weight on an expert opinion only for it to completely miss the mark. So now let's proceed to another type of qualitative forecasting method, which is Delphi method. So according to what I have read, the most well-known technique is Delphi method. So it is because Delphi method involves consulting a panel of industry experts through a series of questionnaires regarding a specific topics about the business or industry. So the Delphi method is almost like the Supreme Court of qualitative forecasting. Experts work together to make informed predictions and future outcomes. The Delphi method typically involves multiple rounds. So each round ends with a peer review of questionnaire results, and then an open discussion of an expert can entertain unique consideration and well-known information. So the goal of Delphi method is to draw consensus among the experts and build a forecast based on that. So the Delphi method generally involves the following stages. The first stage is a panel expert is assembled. Number two, forecasting tasks or challenges are set and distributed to the expert. Number three, expert return initial forecast and justification. These are compiled and summarized in order to provide feedback. So number four, feedback is provided to the expert who now reviewed the forecast in light of the feedback. This may be iterated until a satisfactory level of consensus is reached. So number five, final forecasts are constructed by aggregating the experts' forecast. So the pros of Delphi method is that the pool of expert is not limited to internal resources, accounting for external perspective. So generally, the Delphi method is carried out remotely in an effort to limit strong personalities and groupthink problems that can sometimes plague the jury of executive opinions. So the cons is sometimes expert is simply cannot agree, making it unreliable method of forecasting. So lastly, I can talk about the application of Delphi method. So Delphi method was initially used to forecast trend and outcomes in the fields of science and technology. For example, it's been used to predict trends in aerospace, automation, broadband connections, and the use of technology in school. So additionally, it has been used to forecast outcomes related to economy, education, healthcare, and public policy, and etc. It is also useful to the business situation, helping forecast sales with 96% to 97% accuracy compared to the actual sales numbers. As a result, the Delphi method can be used as a technique to predict the success of business events.
Salesforce polling. In this method, the forecast is done based on the opinions of salespeople who have steady interactions with clients. Since they are the one closest to the customers, they can predict and identify the requirements of the customers for the next future value. Under this method, an opinion poll of the sales force is conducted. On the basis of the opinion poll, an estimate of the sales of the firm is made, which is very relevant in order for the salesperson to have an idea of market conditions. Every salesperson estimates the sales in his or her region because the responsibility of drawing up the forecast lies with the people who actually works for the forecasted value. This method is considered to be simple and practical, and information can be broken down easily by territory, product, customers, or salesperson. On the other hand, salespeople being overly optimistic or pessimistic regarding their predictions and inaccuracies due to border economic events that are largely beyond their control. Example of this is, Alex is new to El Salvador City. He wants to open up a new business, which is a pet shop and veterinary clinic. In order to learn some information about this, he will ask another salesperson who is in the same field as him, either a salesperson of veterinary supplies or a veterinarian,
About the status of salespeople who have their pets, what are the most cases of disease in the city, or the annual budget of these owners for their pets. Through this, Alex will have an idea what are the things he should sell or what are the services he could offer to his customers in the near future. Consumer Market Survey. In this method, the survey is conducted directly on the customers and their purchases. The survey can be done through telephone contacts, personal interviews, or questionnaires to obtain data from the customers. Extensive statistical analysis usually is applied to survey results in order to test hypotheses regarding customers' behavior. It can help not only in preparing a forecast, but also in improving product design and planning for new products. Example of this is, Lily wants to open her own cafe in Elubihid, Misamis Oriental. Since she is new to the place and still doesn't know the kinds of coffee she should serve to get people's attention, she decided to list all the possible customers she could have, starting from students, middle-aged person, workers, adults, senior citizen, and more. She used all platforms to contact them, personal interviews, online survey, telephone or cell phone interviews, and asked them about their likes and preferences on coffee. After that, Lily used a statistical analysis to compute and identify the best options for her business. It was hard, but it turns out great, and her opening was filled with customers.
The PERT-derived forecast, PERT, also known as the Program Evaluation and Review Technique work, is presented in either chart or diagram that makes visible all schedules, tasks in a project in sequence. Using PERT, project managers analyze how much time it will take to complete each task and any dependent task, and then forecast how long the whole project will last. PERT is also used to estimate the project duration or cost with its following three estimates: the pessimistic, the most likely, and the optimistic. These estimates combine to form an expected values or forecast as follows. Mean is equal to A plus 4M plus B over 6, while the variance is equal to B minus A over 6. Advantages of qualitative forecast. First is for better sales projection. One advantage of qualitative forecasting is its ability to predict changes in sales, pattern, and customers' behavior based on the experience and judgment. Second is for more flexibility in forecasting. A qualitative forecast gives management the flexibility necessary to use non-numerical data sources such as the intuition and judgment or experience from managers, sales professionals, and industry experts. Lastly, it reduces ambiguous data. Qualitative forecast is useful when there is ambiguous or inadequate data. Disadvantages of qualitative forecasting. First is the unexpected occurrences. Managers reduce the uncertainties or business planning by using qualitative forecasting techniques. Second is the forecast bias. Using qualitative forecasting techniques to attempt to approximate customers' demand using soft information such as personal opinions. In doing so, the company analyzes previous demand pattern while making allowances for current market condition. Unfortunately, it's difficult to eliminate the forecaster's personal bias from the data that underlies the forecast. Third is the inaccurate forecast. Uncertainties complicate the planning process for a small business owner or manager to decrease some of these uncertainties to develop plans that are fairly accurate but still inexact.